Hey YouTube and cannabis community, what is up? For today, we are going to talk about hemp drinks, THC drinks, drinks overall, and just what is the difference between D9 hemp and regular D9. There's even D8 and D10. So let's get into it. So for today, the biggest focus is talking about THC drinks, or I guess hemp drinks is what we see a lot of times in alcohol stores or anywhere else. And the really big difference between these two things, honestly, is just the way that they're formulated from the beginning. They're actually both D9. Back in the day, we used to say D8 was kind of like what hemp was, but you can also have D9 hemp. And it is just due to the fact that when you harvest it, you harvest hemp sooner before it starts to become really high, THC concentration. So that's how you're able to harvest it at a certain point where it has less THC. And it's just a kind of a workaround between THC and hemp, but hemp still produces D9. So yes, it is the same molecular level. It is the same compound. If you look at them both in a D9 from hemp or a D9 from a typical cannabis plant that we're used to, they are the same molecule. So really the difference comes down to some people say the effect, others say the solubility of the THC or the overall concentration of the THC, which I do understand in certain regard, but when it's in drinks, it's all regulated the same. So there's really not a ton of difference between drinks that do have real cannabis versus hemp D9. And when I say real, I just mean dispensary cannabis versus cannabis you can find in a smoke shop or anywhere else. So hemp is a really controversial thing right now happening in the US. People don't know if the drinks that they're making with hemp D9 are going to be legal. And a lot of people are switching to or preferring real cannabis drinks that are grown and extracted and created in the state. So that's pretty much the big difference is the ones in dispensaries that go through regular cannabis that have real cannabis on the label D9, those ones are metric tagged, or whatever state that has it this is tagged through the state. That way they're able to produce in the state, show it as a real cannabis plant, and put it through a dispensary. The flip side is you have dispensaries very upset because alcohol distributors and pretty much like anywhere you go now, even Target is looking to bring in hemp drinks. They can sell hemp, which is a very odd workaround because it does have THC active in it. So the really big thing that people want to get through is this bill happening in November is really key for what's going to happen to THC drinks. Are they going to allow hemp to thrive or are they going to hurt hemp? And by doing so, are they going to take hemp out of alcohol businesses and only put it in dispos, or are they going to get rid of hemp altogether and make it only cannabis, real plants, high THC? At the end of the day, it's all cannabis. But the ones that we're used to in dispensaries, is that all we can produce? The other thing is we used to have D8 and D10. D8 has kind of gone out of the picture. It was kind of more relevant, honestly, a few years ago. And a lot of people assumed D8 was like worse cannabis. Again, it's just a different molecular compound, but still psychoactive. And we might see D8 creep back into the sphere again when we have all these regulations go through. Another thing is D10, which is the combination of D9 and actual sulfur wildfires from California, and the sulfur enacted with the D9 that was growing plants outside and created D10. So D10 actually doesn't have a lot of studies behind it. I would definitely not recommend it. You're never going to really see this in dispensaries, but you might see that at a smoke shop. So if you do see it, just be aware what D10 is. With that being said, I would say the drinks that I would stick to, if I was going to go to a dispensary these days and buy a drink at a dispensary, I would say grab one, whether it has real cannabis or hemp, that has CBD in it. A little bit, just to get past the jitters, just to get past the difference in the emulsion that happens with regular edibles versus drinks and how they enact with your body. A drink is going to enact way different than an edible, ironically enough. A drink is more of a nano tincture, while an edible is pectin with derived fibers that actually have to go all the way down to your colon and then metabolize that way. So two slightly different things as well. They're not really the same. I would say if you haven't had a drink before, start light and then go into it. You can, always go more. You can never go less. With that being said, I would also say look for a drink that has adaptogens in it, something that actually is creating the THC to stay active within the can. And what I mean is a lot of times THC molecules will stick to the tin or like the can itself because they're binding molecules. They always like to stick to something. That's why you typically want to have fat molecules within a drink coconut water, or something else that can actually bind these molecules so it stays within it. But if you don't, and you create a seltzer-based drink or a tea-based drink, you're going to want something that actually keeps this THC molecule sticking within the drink and creating an even distribution versus it sticking on the side of the cans, you drinking the whole thing, and then you actually feel nothing because all the THC is just plastered along the walls. So with that, I would say I'll conclude here because drinks is a brand new topic, and we're actually going to conclude with insight to another video. I will continue this as November comes along, but until then, let's just see where legislation goes. Let's see if hemp is going to stay afloat or not. And then once November comes, we will actually revisit this video, and I will do a follow-up video, the laws, the legislations, and where we're going with hemp, if it's able to keep selling across borders, or if we're going to have to do something that's only state-bound, which creates a real cannabis versus hemp argument again. With that, have a great night, everybody. I'll do it.